I'm Duende, and I walk between worlds. I have my whole life. When I was little, I sat on my father's lap, and I looked around and I saw somebody that my parents couldn't see, and I said, "Give man cookie, Daddy. Give man cookie." And I ran after this guy throughout the whole house for 20 minutes. That's how the story goes in my family. But that's how my life has been growing up. And walking between worlds is like having one foot here and one foot there. One foot in the real world and one foot in the other world. In the other worlds. In in all the other worlds, which there are many. And I have seen them. And it is huge, people. What your imagination thinks is out there is. The the other worlds are, wow, this big, and this world is, the physical world is much smaller. And when I walk between worlds, I see all sorts of things. Now, when I was growing up, I had a very eclectic life. My father was a UFO researcher for about 60 years. And my mother had all these stories and conversations that we would have about fairies and elves. And my father, and this would be around the dinner table. My father would talk about crop circles, and he would talk about abductee experiences, contactee experience, ghosts, spirits, anomalies, which little bizarre things like batteries that they found that are 4,000 years old. My father would talk about this, about the green stone, this mysterious green stone that does some sort of magical healing with people that appears in history again and again and again. And then visitations of spirits that would come and talk to people. This is what went on in my household with my siblings, and my father would late night would tell these stories. And so I walk between worlds, which means that I've seen fairies, I've seen elves, I've talked to star people or aliens. I've I know when somebody's sick in front of me. I know, like, I can pick up a piece of jewelry and I'll see what a person is about in the jewelry. And this is a way I've been my whole life. I've never been shut down. I've had so much support in my family that my imaginary friends that, you know, when you're little and you think are imaginary, well, they grew up with me, and I began to realize that they were guides. I like to call them wise old dead people. And they talk to me about how to help people. There's so many things out there that is just amazing. And I walk between worlds. It's like I dream when I walk, and I walk when I dream. And you could do it too. You don't have to go to a wise old guru on top of a mountain. You could just read books, and then you could go on vision quests like I did and find who you are, to go deep inside of who you are. Because, folks, out is in. If you want to walk between worlds, you have to go into who you are to discover who you are. It's an amazing process. And here I am doing it. And I'm not old, and look who I am. I'm just a guy from suburbia. Right? I'm a guy from suburbia walking between worlds every day, all the time. And I mean, it's possible for you too. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? I know you're sitting back there and you see those things and you go, "Oh, I better not tell anybody." It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to do those things. When I was younger, I used to talk to 9 different spirits that lived in my house. And I thought I was some whacked out wacko. Until one day, my father brings home, my father's Graham Conway, by the way. Look him up. He was the leading abductee researcher for North America. And he brought home a lady called Dorothy Isaac. Look her up. She does some amazing stuff. And her last name is Izatt. And she comes over, and she's this amazing psychic lady. And we live in a heritage house, and we have this wraparound porch. And my father's out there with her, and he's talking to her. And then suddenly he runs inside, and at this time, I'm down in Los Angeles at theater school. And he runs in and he says, "Sheila, do you know what Dorothy Isaac saw on the porch?" And my mother turns and says, "Mrs. Thorne, wicker chair, 70 years old." And he's just awed. He says, "Sheila, you're amazing." And she says, "No, hon. It's your son." So, in the next 6 years, my father brings home like 6 or 7 different psychics and identifies all 9 people that I thought I was just talking to in my head. But they all saw them. And they all came to talk about UFOs, not to see spirits. But they all saw the people that I was talking to, too, and then identified them to my mother and my father. And then my mother told me. And I mean, this was the tip of the iceberg, because this is this much, and I had this much going on. It was huge. And it's possible. I'm 48 years old. I have been this way my whole life. And I'm here to tell you stories. And when I tell you stories, I want you to know that I'm walking between worlds, so you can see it occur. See if you can see it, because it's happening. And it's happening now.